I think it's not only related to the fact that we started a new year, but me, myself, I've been going through, I guess, some personal, internal awakening processes. And
Yeah.
so it takes a lot because, it's kind of, I am checking everything, my life, my actions, the people around me. What do I want to take with me for the next year, for this year? The energies that I want for me, for myself, for my path, for my boy, for my family. And so it's a huge recapitulation of everything. And it's not easy. It's not easy because sometimes you need to leave even people behind, people that you loved very much. But I guess we need to do what feels the best for our hearts and our souls. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned basically everything that you said. Um, I I'm going through some personal stuff as well. I was estranged from my mother and from most of my family on my mother's side for about 20 years. And recently I got the message that my mother was in hospice and it was time to go home and basically say goodbye. She was very sick. And so we packed up and went home and I met I met my mother again after so long, and I was able to reconnect with her and to kind of tell her everything that I needed to as far as, like, forgiveness and not carrying the weight of, regrets and
oh,
resentments and all sorts ill will, baggage from the past. And it was I would say it was a paradigm shifting experience. It was so, so different than anything I had experienced. But I really
yeah,
feel like yeah, I really feel like that's kind of how it had to go, really. I had to
so
have
beautiful. It's a
yeah.
beautiful experience. And I have to say that I went with my mother through the same process just a few weeks ago. She came to visit.
Wow.
I don't see her so often. We live in different countries. I was born in Bogota, Colombia in 76, but right
Oh,
now I
okay.
live in Jerusalem in Israel for like the last 25 years. What happens is that, I'm almost 50 now. And I guess for the first time, I talked with her really about things that happened in my life and that she didn't know about it. And we are talking about huge traumas that I didn't talk about it then, just because then I thought it was the best decisions. Um, and it was important for me to tell her and for her to understand that I didn't blame her, or I don't blame her for the way things happened, just because each one of us took our decisions according to, our lives back then. We were raised differently. Communication and consciousness about things were differently. Um, we had a different kind of education and our circumstances, during our lives. And so back then, I didn't talk about what happened just because, in Colombia, it's a very dangerous country. My father had a gun, with permission, of course, but I knew if I would tell what happened, the first thing he would have done would have taken the gun and killed these guys that hurt me so much. And so back then, when I was 21, I just decided, like, it already happened. I cannot change these, but I won't break. I know what my father will do because he will do everything for his daughters, everything, you know. And so I knew what will happen next. And that was something I was not willing to see in my family. Not my father, on jail for sure. And so suddenly my mother understood so many things about me, you know, about my behavior. I was an excellent child, student, always with certifications, and suddenly everything changed. I could not study anymore, but I could not talk about it. So they did not understand. They thought I was like just having like a teenager thing, but I was going through hell and protecting my family on the same time. And so I guess what's important is that we made it telling our mothers the way we felt. And we also could listen from them, maybe what they had to say about it. And that it's healing, you know, it's such a profound healing because we've been carrying these feelings and traumas for years with our parents, with our families, with our friends. When my father died about 3 years ago, well, he was the love of my life. I respected him so much, and he was a pediatrician, and he died um, because of Alzheimer's. And it was really hard to see him deteriorating. It took years, but such an amazing man, loving kids, um, respectful doctor, and suddenly his mind was gone. And I could not travel to Colombia and say goodbye. And I guess I will keep that for the rest of my life just because, I am a very empath and loving person. Like, I feel everything very deep. Um, People's souls, children's souls, nature. I can see clouds and just, fall in love for a whole hour, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so for me, not hugging him and telling him how much I loved him and having that conversation that we had with our mothers is for me like so much pain. But, I want to believe that even though it didn't happen like personally, he hears me all the time and he's with me all the time. I can feel him and he knows, I feel he knows. It's just, I guess, the physical fact that, that last moment. But, well, it is the way it is. And I guess that's where healing is so important too, when you need to understand that there are some things we cannot change, but still we can bloom from everything somehow, I guess. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was beautifully said. I feel it's funny, I feel like everyone I'm talking to right now is having a similar experience, with kind of going through this, review or analyzing their lives and kind of deciding what stays and what falls away, and for me and for a lot of people that I've talked to recently, reconnecting with old family members and old friends and forgiveness is such a big theme right now. And for me, with reconnecting with my mother, um, it's I felt so many stories about my self concept just melt away, and now I'm in. I feel like almost like uncharted territory. Like, how do you function in this new space when so many different limitations that I've put on myself and so many stories that I've put into place, and they seemed like they were just, rock solid, like, "This is my life, and this is how things went, and this is how things will always be." so much of that has changed, and so I feel a little untethered right now, to tell you the truth, but
Yeah.
but at the same
No,
time,
I totally
it's wonderful.
understand, you know. Yeah, I totally
Yeah,
understand. And people were asking me lately, like, have you had your alien experiences again? And they happen, but it's not the same. I think just my frequency is not right now, even for an alien communication, because everything is crazy. I've been at war for 2 years and, criticized and attacked and going through my own processes. I suffer from post trauma, and so the healing is very important for me, still running from missile to missile, and for my life and my boys lives and my family and my community. And so this has been crazy times
yeah,
where I think the more we grow up and we are conscious about ourselves, our environment, our society, the more we put boundaries around us, not because it's personal, but because we need to protect not only our paths, but our values, our beliefs, our soul beliefs. When I talk about beliefs, I'm not talking about religion and if you're a democrat or not. I'm talking about your spirituality, what your soul is telling you that is the best for you. And so for that you need to become very humble. And I guess that's a big problem right now for this society, because we are living in a society that is willing to block really good friends, you know, just because they don't believe in your democracy party, or if 3i Atlas is alien or not, or people are looking for division so hard. And we totally forgot who we are as human beings. Like staying humane, be an empath, love, support. It doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter your politic beliefs, your gender, your sexual preference. It don't the color of your skin. Like, come on. I am so tired. I feel exhausted because
yeah,
not only I live in a country that is already very controversial, which is Israel, and I really don't want to go there because it's so controversial that it really doesn't worth it. What I want to say is that as a human being, I don't like people to be hurt. Not here, not there, not in Europe, not nowhere. See? And so unfortunately war exists. But I guess what we need to understand right now is really the fight between right and wrong, which is terrorism. And this terrorism that comes from a place where either you think like them or you will be killed. It doesn't matter your religion or how you think, who do you believe, or you think like them, or you will be killed. And so you need to decide what you need to support in order for our free Western society to be free and democratic free, as a free society, no matter your religion, no matter your what, feel free to be who you want to be. And so those that are against that free Western society including Israel, is not okay. And we should not tolerate that. And so, I've been at war. I've seen people dying, kidnapped, everything together. No one wants this. So my message is always, go back to our humane side because that's the beauty. That's the beauty of the humankind. Actually, our differences, you know? But we should just
Yeah,
respect, be empaths, love, support, give hands, stop the ego, stop the criticizing, stop it.
yeah.
Because it's
I
not
I
taking
to
us nowhere, on the contrary.
I completely agree with you. Um, I understand that us as a human collective, for whatever reason, we really learn through conflict, we really learn through suffering, but I really feel like we can learn through other ways. We can learn through ways which are less damaging to ourselves, and I understand that at this time, w man, the polarity is just it's almost unbearable. It's like right
Yeah,
before the water
me
starts a rolling boil, it's like this tension and this pressure. It's so intense for everyone on the planet.
very much because, I think the people that know me know the kind of human being that I am spiritually, you know, the kind of supporting, loving person that I am. And still, I've been, the people, I've been judged because the place where I live, the country where I live, politics that are not in my hands to decide or to change. I am just a
Yeah,
civilian here and still under attack and running from missile to missile. I've been there for you, being who I am, living where I am. I've been there for you. So at some point, I just need to decide that, I am not going to hide who I am. I am who I am. I live where I live. And if your politics or whatever are more important than the love that I have shown you since you know me, well, it's totally fine. Just stay with
yeah,
your belief because I need to continue with my path. I'm not changing who I am. This is who I am with my
exactly.
trauma, my country, my religion, my beliefs, my aliens, experience. This is who I am. So, this is who we are as alien experiencers, as human beings, as this is who we are. And so we just need to receive it and just try to be better human beings every single day. That's
Exactly.
all we need to do. Go to bed and ask yourself, what did you do today that made someone's heart smile for a second?
That's a good
And
practice, I
if
would
you
say.
did that, that's all I need. That's all I'm asking for. Make someone
Yeah.
heart smile. That's it.
Yeah, if you can manage to do that once a day, I feel like that's a pretty good practice. You mentioned your alien contacts, and honestly, uh, I don't know anything about you, Polly. So so if you would like to tell me, would you care to go into some of that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I want to say thank you to Michelle that she introduced us. She is
Oh,
so
she's the
sweet.
best.
She
Yeah, I love her.
is. And I am really blessed to have her in my life. Well,
Me too.
let's say that, as I told you before, I am really empath with everything. And so since I was a little girl, I think I've kind of, I've had these feelings of feeling energies in my home place, like, things watching me but I was always relating it to ghosts because that's what used to hear in Colombia or the Colombian mythology, So, um, but there was this time that um, I was 7 years old, and um, we used to have in the floor of my house a beautiful library, very big, full of books, medical books, because as I told you, my father was a pediatrician and my mother is a
Mm.
nurse. And so for some reason, I used to pick up one of those books after school and have a seat and watch the pictures and trying to understand what was written. I loved biology. So looking at all those pictures and understanding our bodies from the inside out was for me something like amazing. And there
Mm.
was this time that I came back from school, and as usual, I picked up one of those books. And when I opened it, what I could see was what looked like a white and black picture with what looked like a triangle craft with three dots in each corner. I didn't know back
Hmm.
then it was an alien craft because I never saw something like that before. But what happened immediately is like the image kind of turned on a button inside of me, and suddenly I was petrified with the book in my hands, and I could not move. I was literally like, petrified. And my whole environment was like freezed. I was like, time stopped around me, and I could not hear not my sisters, not my grandmother, not the birds. Like everything was freezed. Time stopped, including me. And so I was looking at the picture, and suddenly I started seeing like um the best way I can describe this is a download of green numbers running through my brain. Green numbers like a computer running numbers. And like I don't understand what is going on. Um I cannot scream. I'm having a pitchy sound in my ear, like a radio sound, very high. And these numbers are a series of zeros, ones, threes, and fives. And they run through my brain, and in in the same moment they are like translated in my brain like images. And so suddenly I could see this craft hovering outside planet Earth. And I guess that's the first time I received a telepathic communication where I was told, this is not your technology. This is a different kind of plane. We don't live on planet Earth, but we come to visit you. And 1 second later, everything comes back to normal. Time, the birds, my sisters, my grandmother. I can move. I feel I can breathe again. Like I came back from. I don't know what the hell happened there. I just went to have a seat. I'm trying to breathe. Trying to understand what happened. I had an experience when I was younger, but this happened while I was sleeping. Something like an instinct, a voice inside told me, you need to wake up, you need to wake up. I woke up. I suddenly saw like a huge tarantula the size of a beetle car trying to grab my sister from her bed. But I was sleeping. I said maybe, I was maybe dreaming, but I had this paralyzing feeling the first time with that tarantula experience. And so I felt it again with the book. So I don't know if it's a kind of frequency. I've heard these with other experiencers too about this paralyzing situation, especially or usually when you go to sleep. Um, I didn't talk with my parents about this because, well, I I didn't know what to say, what to
Right.
how am I going to prove what happened? Like, they're going to think I'm crazy, you know? And so I
Yeah.
said, maybe I'm going to hear this from, my friends at school or something, but nothing. And it was Colombia. No one was talking about this. So I just started my own research when I was 7 years old, trying to buy books, comics, every kind
Me
of
too.
information because we didn't have internet. So, everything was through encyclopedias and comics and maybe TV series, like
Right.
uh, what were we looking at what back then? But in the 90s, we started receiving in Colombia all these series, like Star Trek and the X Files and V, and when I saw
V.
V, exactly, I said to my mother, like, "Mom, like that's them, like in general, there are other species in this universe." And my mother was like, "Come on, this is Hollywood, like no." And it was frustrating because I had this strong feeling that we are not alone. And and it's not only a feeling, it's like so logical for me. It's a fact. We are
Mhm.
not alone. And so all these experiences made me well, by the way, I started afterwards my BA in social communication and journalism. And for some reason, I decided that Colombia was not my place and I needed to move. Um, well, it was also after my kind of attack that I had in Colombia that, so I needed to go.
Yeah.
And my strong feeling told me Israel is the place. I was born in a little Jewish community in Bogota, so Israel always feels like our homeland. But for some reason, it could be anywhere else. My parents told me, like, "You're crazy. You're going to the other side. You've never been there. Like, are you crazy? Go to Argentina, 2 hours from here. But, like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "No, I have to go. I have to go." And it was the great decision, the best decision, because when I came here, they already had more advanced technology. So we had already internet. And so that was the first time I found about MUFON. Like, what the hell? Like, I am not crazy. There are people that have sightings and are talking about alien experiences. And I was stuck in Colombia believing I need I don't know, a shrink, you know?
Right.
And so that was the first time I heard also Bob Lazar talking. And that was like a bond for me because I said, like, wait, like, what? Like, this guy is talking about him working inside Area 52, a basis military, place in the United States with reverse technology. The government knows about this. And we've been lied like for more than 70 years. Like, are you kidding me? Like, boom. So I could not work here as a journalist because the laws of journalism are different from Colombia. So I guess, now I know that nothing is a coincidence, but more synchronicities because my journalism took that path where I was just researching every single podcaster, event in history, writer, everyone. I wanted to know exactly what was going on. And so I started also sharing this information from what I thought were the best sources into the internet to different pages. And after many years, I was already managing like 10 pages all around the world, in the States, in Australia, in Israel, you name it, and building strong Facebook pages that we started from zero and now they have more than 10,000 people. And they really had from me like 3, 4 years of the best sources and information. I came into Israel in 99. In 2006, something really weird happened because I was having really bad headaches for about 4 years. And when I went to the ER, they made an MRI, and they told me that I needed to undergo through, like, I needed to have a brain surgery. They found two cysts inside my brain. One of them was the size of a tennis ball, and she was
Wow.
pressuring so much my brain that that's why I was having these bad headaches. But in the other side, there was this other cyst that they found in the pituitary gland that um, the pituitary gland is between your two eyes behind your nose. And the only way to go there is through your nose. The problem is that I was explained after the surgery that when they tried to take that cyst from the pituitary gland, they found inside that cyst what looked like a super tiny metallic kind of device or something with a cube form. Now, after a lot of research, I think it might have been an alien implant. Um, but the
Yeah.
thing is that when they tried to take the cyst out, the whole thing exploded. And I almost lost my life there because the
Wow.
whole fluid from the brain were flowing through my nose. So they needed to go through an emergency thing and they saved my life. But the doctor told me whatever that was, I don't know how it got there or what it was, but and I don't have it because everything exploded. So
Wow.
it was, yeah, it was like crazy. I didn't related it to aliens just afterwards because in 2013 I was trying to get pregnant. And so I decided to get pregnant through a sperm donor. And what started happening is that after tracking this, I noticed that during my ovulation cycles, I was having something that felt like a dream, but it was not a dream. I think we are talking about some kind of ET communication that happens through a frequency when you go to sleep, you know, and you go again through that paralyzing feeling that you cannot move or scream or nothing. You feel paralyzed and cold, very cold again. And suddenly I am kind of, the feeling is like I am vacuumed
Yep.
into another soil. And I suddenly land in what looks like a Martian soil. Like it looks like the red sands in Australia. Um, Here in Israel, it looks very much like the Dead Sea area. It's like very rocky mountains, red sand deserts, and I'm wondering because um, I just went to sleep. Like, how did I get here? You know, and
Right.
so I am totally lost, and I start walking and walking and walking. Hold on, let me close the door. There you go. And so I start walking very lost, and I see far away, um, coming towards me, a figure looks humanoid. And when it approaches kind of 2 meters from me, I understand this is a little boy. This is a child. It's about a 5, 6 years old child with beautiful hair, humanoid, 2 hands, 2 arms, like 2 legs. Um, but the eyes, he had these black almond gray eyes, huge gray eyes. And even though it's like a shock, my feeling was like an immediate connection with this kid. I love kids very much, but this was
Me
very
too.
weird because I felt like a motherhood connection with him. Like, this boy is mine and I need to protect him and do everything for him. Like he's my boy. Really. And so I was stressed. He took my hand and through his touch, I guess, kind of in a touching telepathic communication, he was telling me to, don't worry, you don't need to be scared, everything is going to be okay. While I was asking questions, like, who are you? Where is your family? Like, where the hell are we? How did I get here? You know?
Yeah.
And he just keeps telling me, don't worry, everything will be fine. You don't need to be scared. And suddenly he takes me into this place in the middle of the desert where I see a tent. It looks like a biblical no matter tent, like four wooden sticks and a fabric, and like a tent for 10 persons. And I said, oh my God, great, maybe his family is here. And I was thinking in human terms, like in human terms, I need water, we need food, we need shelter, you know? And
Mhm.
so he suddenly opens the tent. And when I go inside, Gina, I guess that's the shock of my life because this is not a tent. This is a huge craft. It's like a round craft where I can see two floors. In the second floor, there are like smoked black windows all around. And the first floor looks totally um, sterile, clean, metallic, but you know, super simple, very sterile. Like, and it feels like I am just in one room of a huge compound that I cannot even see the end of it. So it's so big. Now, suddenly in my left side, there is a new structure with stairs, and there is an entity sitting there. And this entity tells me, um, we are glad you are here because you are the only one that can save us and help us right now. And they was like, what? Like, I was so confused. I really felt I was losing it. And I started asking questions like, who are you guys? Like, how did I get here? Like, what do you mean? Like, what? And so the little child that picked me up in the desert, he takes my hand again. He calms me down again. And when he raises his hand, his other hand, and he shows me the place again, well, I can see finally where I am. This is an emergency room inside a craft. We are talking about a place that's got about 50 beds. In each one of those beds, there is a woman in labor. Some of the babies were already born. They are in little beds next to the woman's beds. Um, they are all in different stages of pregnancy. And in the middle of the craft, there comes from the ceiling this white, very bright light. And in the middle of this light, there is a mantis being standing there, praying mantis. And around the beds, around those women, there are like little grays aliens just doing their task, very concentrated in what they are doing. They look very much like skinny Bob.
Mm, yeah.
Uh, and the praying mantis, she, the first time I see her, the feeling of shock is huge. It's like my brain is having a earthquake and trying to understand, making sense of what the hell I am looking at, because this is an insectoid so high, and the legs and the eyes, you know.
Yeah.
But amazingly, I was not scared or threatened. I felt huge respect for her. And when I saw in through her eyes, it was I think that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen after my boy. Which is like, you know, um, she's got this profound knowledge about DNA and human evolution and this universe creation. It's like I could see 10 movies at the same time through her eyes, and a profound knowledge about this universe creation. And after I had those images in my head, I suddenly had her message. And again, it felt telepathic. She was not talking. It feels like a strong feeling inside your chest where I was told, now it's time to do your job. And so, in that second, looking at her, I understood that, like, all these information I read in those books when I was a child about medicine, it's like I needed to take that knowledge and use it now for those women and those babies. And so I started running and grabbing in my hands whatever I felt could use me to check those pregnancies and those babies that were already born. Those women felt like they were conscious that they were in labor. Um, but the thing is that the babies that were already born, they all had this characteristic of the huge black gray eyes. So, in my opinion, they were all hybrids. But those women, I don't feel they were conscious about the fact that they were going through an hybridization program. It's like they were in labor, but they were not conscious about the hybridization program.
Mm,
And so my task was not only checking those women and babies, but I think my empathy was also a key for them, because I could also hug and take those babies in my hands and love them and hug them and sing for them and show them what is human love. Because, the feeling was like, I don't know if they are going to have it. I don't know what will happen with those babies.
mm,
But I need for them to know what love is and that they are not alone. And so after I finish all these, the experience ends as well as it started. I go back to my bed, like, I suddenly wake up in my bed, very lost. Suddenly, uh, I am all wet. My hair, my pajamas, like someone took me from the shower right now. And in one of those times, I made a coffee and I was really lost, trying to understand again what happened. And suddenly I saw this mark on my leg. It looks like, the best way I can describe it is like a cat paw. Um, it's weird because I didn't have other marks on my body on the same time. I was thinking maybe it's an allergy, but nothing at all. And it looks like I was burned, printed with something. It looks like
mm,
I was burned with something. And so and it took like 24 hours to disappear. So, after you hear all the story, or me tracking all my experiences, well, I think everything is like, again, not coincidences, but synchronicities where I've been finding confirmations about my alien experience, not only through my dream or astral traveling, but there is the mark, because these things, that's why this is also so complicated to talk about. We have normal human traumas that it's difficult to talk about them. Well, talking about our alien experiences is harder because sometimes we don't have how to
Yeah.
prove it, you know?
Yeah.
And so kind of the mark was for me a way for them to tell me this is true. What you're going through, this is true, and this is your confirmation. And it's for me, I don't need people to believe me. This is my
Right.
story, and maybe people will feel related, and maybe we can talk about it, and people will criticize, and people will say, "Oh, great, it's fine." At some point, you don't care anymore. I stand by my story, what I feel, what I have seen, my experience, my research, what happened with me when I was 7 years old. That was my awakening moment. And after so many years of research, I believe we all have these in our genes. And we all have these awakening moments. And there are people like me that take that call and decide to research and go further and understand. And there are people that will ignore it and maybe laugh about it. And it's totally fine too. We are all in different stages or states of consciousness too. And my story is mine, and it doesn't make it a low. It doesn't mean that other people did have the same experiences with the mantis or the grays. Maybe their experiences were less nice, a little bit more complicated. And we have to respect that too, you know,
Mhm.
because each one of us is a different world and we take things differently and it's fine. Again, the message is just be supportive and understanding and loving and give hands. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. Exactly. I I am going through my own process right now of becoming more comfortable with my experiences and other people hearing about them and knowing about them, and I'm telling you, it's a process. So I
It
thank you for
is.
coming on and telling this story. This was an amazing chat. I loved it. Um,
No, it's my honor
yeah,
and my pleasure, and I think our voices are, I hope, a a help, a support for others to understand that we are all going through everything and lots of things that we cannot even imagine, and that's why we should be so more understanding and less judgmental about our own selves even. You start by yourself, like the rest will
exactly.
come the moment you find your own inner peace and you are whole with yourself, your experiences, your healings, your people, your path. The right people will follow. That's all, you see.
Absolutely. I feel that it's the most important to, first off, not judge ourselves because in any given day, we could judge ourselves 1,000 different times for these little micro moments. And that adds up. It really does. It sticks in your body, it sticks in your field. And the more we can let go of these judgments, the more we can let go of judgments of others and eventually come into more equanimity and hopefully more understanding of others and of ourselves. So I
Right,
yeah, I
right.
don't know. I I feel like we covered so much in this conversation. It
But
kind of just
indeed.
immediately got really deep. So
Yeah, no, I we can talk for hours, and I
I
love it. I
know. You
love
should
it.
come on again.
Oh, anytime. My pleasure.
Awesome.
Really, anytime. Whenever you
Yeah.
need, whatever you need, just please let me know.
What let me see. What are your Facebook groups and are there links and websites or anything you would like to promote on this show?
Sure, you can, yes, of course. You can join me in my Facebook group. The name is Area 50 Human UFO UAP News. It's an amazing group. We have about 1,800 people now. It's a baby. We just started like 5
Oh,
months
it's
ago.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a private group, I'm not looking for masses. I'm looking really for quality of information that I can share and the people experiences and content. It's a very respectful group. So please feel free to come and share other than that, you can find me in my YouTube channel, um Twitter and Instagram with Poly Rottermann, double T and double N, same thing, Area 50 Human, um, UFO UAP News. Those are the
Awesome.
names.
I love the work that you're doing. This is very important. It's very important work, and I
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much. Well,
everything
the
that
truth
you
is that,
that you
yeah,
do.
I started also recently our podcast. I work with the UFO Man team. We are starting in January, the new season, I guess. So
Awesome.
join us in the UFO Man podcast to starting in January.
All right. Yay.